This time on Dreddit.
Am I the a-hole for wanting to dress up as a penguin at a costume party, even though it might damage my girlfriend's reputation? My girlfriend, 21F, and I, 22M, have been invited to a costume party in a few weeks. The theme is things starting with P. I want to dress up as a penguin, because I am totally obsessed with this animal and think it would be too funny. Here is the mask I chose. I do not plan on getting a full costume, although I will wear black and white for consistency's sake. My girlfriend is upset about that choice. She thinks it looks ludicrous, and that it might scare people. The party is hosted by one of her friends, and there will be her former friends from high school. I don't know any of them. She says that she'd rather have me act up as a trophy boyfriend, just as she did when she met up my friends. She has been harassed in high school and think it would be a sweet revenge. I am, however, entirely positive about dressing up as a penguin. I don't want my girlfriend telling me what to wear, under any circumstances, as I never asked such a thing from her. One of her female friends' boyfriend will even come dressed up as a chicken, yet I can't do my thing. She sent a picture of the mask to that friend who thought it would be hilarious. She'd rather buy me a disguise that looks like this. Which is less funny in my opinion. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for convincing my stepdaughter to not sign a deal? My stepdaughter, 24F, runs an Instagram page YouTube channel with a decent amount of following. She makes some money of it, and her father wanted her to sign up with an agency. He had done most of the work, and she had a contract in hand. She asked me to take a look at it. I am not a lawyer, but I have taken part in some business negotiations. The document was biased against her. They got control over any IP she created, more than half the cut of all her earnings, and their marketing commitment was very vaguely defined. The only benefit of the contract was a $35,000 upfront payment for signing up, but which had to be paid back if she failed to meet their content production targets. It was a deal where her upside was limited, while their downside was protected. I told her that this deal was shit, and she could do much better than whatever this company offered just by working on her own. She is a smart girl, and she decided not to sign up. She really doesn't care. She is making money to support herself and do what she likes, and has no want to go viral. Her father hates that I interfered in his relationship with his daughter. Her mother, my wife, is not happy either, as she doesn't want my daughter to be self-employed. I feel a bit guilty as I did not mince words when I described the deal. I was furious, and the ensuing fallout between her dad and her has strained their relationships. I feel like I poured fire on a family feud. Her father is mad at me for poking my head where it belongs and upstaging him. He doesn't like me a lot anyway, as he hates that fact his ex-wife married a woman. My wife is miffed that I am encouraging her to continue this career.
Am I the a-hole? Father is homeless. I refuse to bail him out. I am in the midst of a moral crisis, and I turn to you all for outside judgment. Some background. Growing up, my father was a night security guard, and never made more than $10 an hour. He has had cars repossessed, didn't pay rent, almost costing us our homes growing up, a chronic liar, and has stolen money from family, his brothers, myself and my siblings. When my mother worked up the courage to leave him, he had an abusive streak. He fell apart. Since then, my father has for the last 10 or so years been what is essentially an employed homeless man. He bounces from job to job, never staying anywhere or at any job for too long, maybe a year or so, before moving on to his next great idea. On more than a few occasions this lifestyle of his had led to him winding up penniless and jobless, and he in turn comes to his kids for money. I have on more than one occasion sent him money, bought bus tickets, or paid for him to fly from out of country back to the US, to start over. He at one point lived in my living room back in 2013. And this brings me to the current day. He called me the other day to tell me he was jobless and homeless in the US Virgin Islands and needs money. His brother, my uncle, had told me this call was coming because he gave him money a week or so before, and my sister did the same. So I told him no, I wouldn't give him any money, but I'd fly him back to the States. He just had to tell me where. He asked me to come to my home. Having done this before, I knew it meant I'd have to kick my dad out again, and simply told him that was impossible. My wife is pregnant and my work schedule keeps me away. So I pay for him to fly to St. Louis, where we are originally from. This starts a fight with my wife and siblings who say he's taking advantage of me, because he knows I won't say no to him. I told him this was the last time I'd help him, and any other requests of money and needing help would result in me cutting off all contact with him. I cannot shake that I am abandoning him, despite all the lies, his abuse, and proof that he won't change. He is my dad and I'm consciously deciding to leave him to whatever outcome his decisions lead him to. So, am I the asshole? And if I am not, why do I feel like one?
Am I the a-hole for telling my little sister the truth about our local water park? So, little background, we have a pretty big water park in our town. In the water park is a very large slide, and my sister has just reached the height requirements to go on it. My parents keep telling her that she'll get to go on it next time we visit, and she was a little scared. They essentially brushed off her fear and said it would be fine. I was a little pissed, but in the end I know the lifeguards won't let my parents force her on if she doesn't want to go. My sister approached me and asked if it was scary. I told her I didn't find it scary, but I know some people do. She then asked me if anyone had died on it before. Now, no one has died, but people have got stuck and gotten injured, particularly little kids. They've been known to shoot out of it and get hit, or barrel into other swimmers, but obviously it's not that dangerous, as it's still open. I said that sometimes people get stuck, or if they come out too fast they can get hurt, but I promised to catch her alright with her if she's scared. She thought it over for a little while and decided that she doesn't want to go on it, which I was expecting. My parents are now pretty pissed, claiming that I've traumatized her. I feel like she has a right to know. But on the other hand, she has recently been really worried about me and our other siblings going on it, so am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to support my girlfriend anymore after she hired a nanny? My girlfriend hated her job and has been telling me she wanted to quit for ages. I finally get to have overnights with my 3-year-old son, but I need someone to watch him while I'm working. As a solution to both of our problems, I offered to financially support her if she would watch my son for me. She agreed and moved in with me the same week. I thought things were going well until my ex called me to chew me out about breaking our agreement. We have an agreement that if I leave our son with anyone, I will first introduce them to her and get her approval. I did this with my girlfriend and my ex was fine with her watching our son. Turns out my girlfriend hasn't been watching him at all. She hired a nanny who has been watching him, and my ex found out because she went to drop off a gift my son made for me. I was furious when I found out and told my girlfriend I will no longer be financially supporting her. We got into a fight and she left to stay with her parents. Naturally, her family and friends all think I'm an off for cutting her off and for throwing her out with nothing when she had made sure my son was well looked after this whole time. Her sister also said I should understand how hard it is for her to watch my son when he's a physical reminder of our breakup, which was a dark time for my girlfriend. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to feed or clean up after my adult roommate? TL:DR. My roommate refuses to clean or buy groceries, so I stopped doing it for her. AITA. So I have been living with my current roommate in a 2-bedroom apartment for the past year while attending college. She and I get along well for the most part, have similar interests, and split costs evenly. At least at first. After a couple months, she was unable to pay for her share of groceries. I covered her half a couple times, being sympathetic toward her situation. However, this has since spiraled into her expecting me to pay for all the groceries every time. I have offered to help her find a job, to which she refused. On top of this, she routinely eats all of the snacks I buy for myself. Now this. She only washes the dishes she uses when she needs them again. At this point, I've been buying all the groceries for months, and have started to buy less, because I need to save money for tuition. Because of this, she cooks less, and instead orders out instead of using the money she spends on takeout for groceries. So the dishes just sit there for weeks and smell awful. Yes, I could wash them myself, but between my job and schoolwork, as well as all the other cleaning jobs around the apartment, that she now refuses to do, I just can't bring myself to do yet another thing she said she would do herself. I let her know that I couldn't handle her responsibilities on top of my own, and thought the issue would be resolved. I have resorted to only cleaning my own room, the shared bathroom, and the dishes I personally use, instead of cleaning the entire apartment. Now I spend what little time I am at home locked in my room, because the entire apartment is trashed. I mean, it smells disgusting, and there is now a fruit fly problem because of it. She confronted me about this, asking why I don't clean or buy enough groceries for both of us anymore, and I'm honestly fed up. I told her that she can clean up after herself and pay for her own groceries. Now she's upset with me, still refuses to pull her own weight, and claims that she is overwhelmed and depressed. I also suffer from mental illness, and I understand that they can be debilitating, and that she may not be meaning to take advantage of me. But I don't think that it's a valid excuse for her to walk all over me and the kindness I've shown her. I gave her the number to the student counseling service just in case, and offered to listen if she wanted to talk. But I personally feel like she's using this excuse as a cop-out to get more favors out of me. I still haven't cleaned her mess or bought more groceries, and am still mostly in my room, but I'm at my wit's end, and cannot physically or emotionally handle this behavior anymore. AITA. Am I the a-hole?
EF 27/M got really mad at me when I questioned why another girl FaceTimed him. So for reference, I'm 25 and my boyfriend of 2 years is 27. The other day, he left his phone at home while he went to work. I normally don't just go through his phone, but this particular day I noticed that this girl we will call Jane was texting him a lot. I had never heard of her before, so I got curious. I noticed that they had texted quite a bit in the days before. It was mostly innocent stuff about their job, their co-workers, but she did call him sweet, and they were sending a lot of. I tried to just not care and blow it off. But then, she called him. I didn't answer, but I went to his recent calls, and I saw that they had a 20-minute conversation the night before while I was at work. I started overthinking, and then he ended up calling me and saying, "Hey, I left my phone at home, you probably shouldn't go through it." I thought it was kind of weird he said that. So a couple hours went by, and I was thinking of how to bring it up without sounding accusatory. And then she called him again. And after 20 more minutes, she FaceTimed him. I thought it was really weird. My BF never uses FaceTime and I've never heard anything about this girl other than he found her super annoying, and she apparently flirted with him a lot at work. So when he got home, I asked why this girl was calling him so much and why they were talking on the phone for 20 minutes. He at first was understanding of how that could seem weird. But then, since I was still a little suspicious, he literally threw my food on me and took my phone and threw it across the room. He kept saying I made him super mad since I was accusing him of cheating. I never accused him of cheating, I just said maybe there's more to the story. So Reddit, should I just believe him that nothing happened? Should I just let it go? I don't want to be naive.
Am I the a-hole for threatening to take my wife off of her weekly stipend that I give her if she doesn't do more chores or get a job? So I know, by the way, that I've worded the title that I probably sound like a major asshole. But I'd like for everyone to try to hear me out first. I've been married to my wife for 2 years now. It's been a great marriage. I do truly love her. I have a high-ranking job at a pretty large company and I make a good bit of money. When we got married we decided that my wife didn't need to work if she didn't want to, that she could just stay at home if she would like. We came to the agreement that she'd do 70 to 80% of the chores if she stayed at home. We do not have kids, so she literally has nothing else to really do. She had side projects and crafts that she sold, so we also figured that it'd give her more time to work on that and grow it. As she does not work, we do have separate bank accounts. I like to spoil her, so I do give her a fair stipend each week to spend it however she pleases. Now I have realized that I may need to take it away from her. The first year or so of being married everything was going to plan. She was cleaning a lot around the house and was building her craft business. In the last year things have declined tremendously. Her craft business is completely closed. She hasn't worked on that in months. Not only that, but chores are hardly getting done around the house. I'll come home most days to a dirty house and she will be there playing with the new items and clothes that she purchased that day. I feel like I'm doing all of the work while she is just sitting back and having fun. Recently I realized that I had enough of this and needed to speak to her about it. First I tried to start off by being respectful. I asked if everything is okay with her. She assured me that it was and that she was super happy. I then tried to nicely tell her that I noticed that the house had been dirtier recently. She shrugged and acted like it was nothing. I then asked her what she does all day. She started to get upset with me questioning her. I told her that it looks like all she does now is spend the money that I give her on worthless things. She started tearing up and yelling more. I finally told her that if she doesn't start earning it then I'm going to have to cut her stipends and not give her as much. She claimed that I didn't have the right to take her money away. I told her that I did because it was my money that I earned. Ever since then she hasn't said one word to me. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for getting harsh with a mother whose child had gone missing? Got home from work last night, threw some food on and went to take my dog out. It's somewhere between 7 p.m-8 p.m. While I'm standing out there I see this kid walking by barefoot, completely sobbing and calling out the name Susan over and over. He couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Instantly I'm worried and go over and ask him if he's okay, if he's lost or trying to find someone. This kid then breaks my heart. Between desperate sobs he tells me his 2-year-old sister Susan is missing. That he didn't mean it, they were playing on the stairs and he had thought his mom was watching her when he went over to say hi to a friend that was walking by. Apparently she wasn't and his sister had wandered off. I spring into action right away and tell this porter let's go find her. I ask if anyone has called the authorities or if he wants me to make a phone call for some help. The kid looks scared and says no, his mom is also looking. It was almost like he was afraid to get in trouble. So I spent the next hour with this kid looking high and low for his sister. OT starts getting dark, so I tell the boy I should take him home and his mom needs to call the proper authorities if she hasn't, but her 8-year-old son should not be wandering around alone in the dark. We don't want people hunting for 2 missing kids. So as we're heading back to his apartment and he's still sobbing and calling her name, this guy sitting out on his patio goes, "Oh, if you're still looking for that girl, they found almost an hour ago. She's home safe." While there was relief, there was also fury in me. This mother had left her 8-year-old son wandering around alone in desperation for the last hour. Almost the whole time I was with him, so I know there was no attempt to find him. I get him to his apartment and knock and the mother answers the door. She goes, "Oh, there you are, Joey. I was waiting for you to come back. Susan is fine, no need to worry. It was just a mistake. I know you won't make it again." The boy is still sobbing. Unable to help myself, I look straight at the lady and say, "It's a mistake you won't make again. This was your fault, not his. You didn't even bother to come find him while he was out there trying to clean up your mess, and you're lucky you didn't end up with 2 missing kids. I'm glad your daughter is home and safe, and now your son as well. Of course she's start yelling at me, telling me I'm a horrible person to say that, and in front of her child, and that I have no idea how scary and stressful it is to lose a child, and that I have no idea what she went through after her son had told her Susan was missing. I just shrugged and said it was a bad mistake, don't worry, I'm sure it won't happen again, and walked off. I feel like I might have been too harsh on a woman that obviously had a rough night and put her down in front of her child. I was just so angry at what she put that boy through. AITA. Edit. For those saying I should have called the police, they were called, just not by me. I didn't have a phone on me at the time cause I was only running my dog out to use the bathroom, and the kid was so scared by the idea of police I didn't want him running away while I left to grab my phone. I did however grab another resident that was pulling in and asked him to call them, which he did. We never saw the cops, so I don't know if they showed up and saw the girl was home and left, or if they called and got the same information. You have to remember, the whole time I was with the boy, his sister was already home, so authorities would have left right away. And it's a big complex. The police can be there and you never know. Edit 2. Thanks everyone. I took the call CPS comments to heart and stopped by the leasing office to discuss the situation with them. They would have copies of any police reports filed on the property. I explained what happened and they were horrified. They know the family and have received complaints about the boy being left alone outside with his sister before, but last night it came to a head with endangering 2 children's lives. They know the bio mother and are going to contact her with a copy of the police report that does not mention or include the boy walking around alone and make it seem like the girl wandered off on her own, and let her know that they will be contacting CPS and wanted to give her the heads up to be here to pick up her son when he gets off the bus from school. They unfortunately can't remove the daughter from her care, but they are putting wheels in motion. They asked to be allowed to handle it to avoid conflict between tenants, and I trust them to do it. All 3 women that run the leasing office are wonderful women that have children. They said that this was what they needed for CPS to take them seriously. They asked me to keep my phone on me at work to make sure that I'm reachable, because they're sure CPS will want to speak to me about last night.
I, 21M, girlfriend, 20F, parents have stolen money from her and ruined her credit, and she feels there's nothing that can be done. My girlfriend is in college now and she recently found out that her parents have tanked her credit score using a credit card she ordered a long time ago but never received. Big surprise. They used her credit card to pay for utility bills, and of course never paid them off. She says she can't report that the payments were not from her because her parents will go to jail. They have 2 sons as well, 16 and 4. They've quite often borrowed money from her, even though they never pay her back and even get mad at her when she brings it up, so thankfully she's stopped doing that. But right now there is nothing that makes me more mad than hearing about how helpless she is to all of this total bullshit they put her through. She's got incredible potential, going to the best university in the state for a civil engineering degree. Is there any way that she doesn't have to take responsibility for their financial use of her without sending them to jail?
My son met his deceased grandfather at the hospital. First Reddit post ever, so please bear with me. My son was born with a single heart ventricle and needed 3 open heart surgeries before the age of 5 to survive. After my son's 3rd heart surgery, he developed an extremely rare complication that could only be resolved with a heart transplant. We lived in the hospital for almost 3 months, while he was on a transplant list. I can honestly say those were the worst 3 months of my life, seeing my son suffer and not knowing if he'd be okay. It was absolute torture. During the course of waiting, the complication was unexpectedly resolved, and he no longer needed the heart transplant. Believe me when I say that it was nothing short of a miracle. No one could have predicted that he wouldn't need the transplant. Fast forward to a couple of months after we finally came home. I was going through some boxes that had my husband's old family pictures in it, including some pictures of my son's grandfather. My father-in-law died 16 years before my son was born, so my son had never met him. We didn't have any pictures of him in our house at that time either. At some point my son sat next to me at the kitchen table to see what I was doing. We came across a picture of my father-in-law, and my son says, "Oh hey, I know that guy." I said, "You don't know him, buddy. You've never met him. He died a long time ago, before you were born." My son had a very serious expression on his face and said, "Yes, I did, Mommy. I know him. That's Bill. He used to sit next to me every night at the hospital and watch me. I think he was a doctor or something. My father-in-law's name was Bill." My son didn't know that. I don't know what to make of this, but I liked the idea of my son's grandfather watching over him during the scariest time of our lives, which was resolved through a legitimate miracle. My son is 13 now, and I like to think he has a guardian angel watching over him.
Ex-girlfriend ended things between us after she caused me to lose my leg in an accident, but is trying to reconnect right now after I got myself a prosthetic leg. In 2019 I got into a car accident and injured my left leg severely. My ex-girlfriend was the one driving and was the one responsible for the accident because she was fighting with and yelling at me in the car over a minor issue. I advised her to either stop fighting or stop driving, but she was reckless and didn't care that she was risking not only my life, but hers as well. I suffered for months because of my leg. I had a severe infection resulting in amputation and had to use assistant tools to be able to move. My ex-girlfriend became distant and my parents were my main carers. Her treatment towards me took a 180 turn. Suddenly I wasn't good enough for her anymore, and at some point started comparing me to other fully functional guys, claiming I wasn't the problem, it's her low self-esteem, and so she was required to look for a partner with better look, financial stability and so on. She made my trauma all about her, and how being with a guy with one leg affected her self-esteem and image in front of everybody. She broke things off with me and our relationship was supposed to end that day, but I foolishly spent months begging and convincing her that we were meant to be together. I even promised her that I'd do all I can to be able to walk again and reminded her of the plans we had together, and I hated myself for it. My self-esteem was almost non-existent. I was dealing with PTSD on top of that. I fucked up and resorted to medication to ease the pain. Therapy was on and off for me because I'd get extremely agitated at the mention of my ex-girlfriend. It took time for me to be able to talk things out properly. I was so stupid thinking she was my one and only, and it got worse when I became convinced that no one will accept me and my disability, since it's the reason my relationship with my ex-girlfriend ended. My parents helped with so much. They and few of my friends supported me to get through this after seeing my overall health decline. In the past 6 months I was given the opportunity to be able to walk again after getting a prosthetic leg. It's long overdue, but money was the main problem. I'm a lot better now, my health is getting better, my mental health improved and gained more self-confidence. My ex-girlfriend reached out to one of my friends wanting to talk to me about getting the prosthesis and bettering my health. My friend was like a messenger between us, but I kept her in the dark, so she knows nothing more than what my friend knows. I added clear that I have no intentions to speak to her or discuss my health with her. My friend was respectful and stopped speaking to her about me. She visited my mom last week and left her number with her, expecting me to call. I was stunned that she was talking to my mom. My mom told me my ex was out of town and was low contact with everyone and couldn't check in on me despite wanting to. She said I had never left her mind and she was feeling happy and excited for my experience with my new prosthesis. Right now she is waiting for me to call so we can get together and talk, but I didn't feel comfortable with the idea. I gotta say I felt nostalgic and wanted to call her number a few times, but part of me prevented me from doing so. It's been a week and I didn't call her. I'm not sure if I still have feelings for her. My family say I should talk to her. After all, we have known each other for 7 years. It's clear she wants to connect, but I just don't think this is what I want. How should I deal with this pressure?
You